Lexington community, we're back again for our Wildcat football preview show brought to you this week by Bobby White State Farm. I'm Athletic Director Dustin Curtis, along with head football coach Stewart Young, and today his special guests are offensive line coach Justin Crocker and senior returning starter, the Forbes Watson. How's everybody doing today, guys?
Doing good, sir. How are you?
Doing great.
Great, man. Well, Coach Young, I've been a head coach before and been a part of a lot of games where the ending kind of rips your heart out. So let's just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off, talk about last week. Where you look at your kids, it's one of those games, you look at your kids and your coaches feeling like you deserve to win a game, where you wanted to break through, you wanted to get some momentum and some confidence. But I tell you, I know this is not some kind of epiphany, but that was one of the toughest ones I think I've ever seen and felt. And I know you have great kids and great leadership, but tell us what you told them after, and more importantly, how have those guys responded this week?
Yeah, that was a rough one, rough way to end it. And I told them in the locker room how proud we were of their effort and their not quitting and endurance throughout the game. They did everything we asked them to do but win. And then you go back and watch the game afterwards, and their kid made a play on that last touchdown, and then we were in pretty good position there, to be honest with you. And they made a good play, and we unfortunately couldn't match it on our offensive side at the end. But proud of them and how they responded. They've had a great week. Those kids are resilient. They're a great group of kids, and it's never as good as it seems. It's never as bad as it seems. We're still the same team. All right, we're still the same team we were with a minute and 50 seconds to go. Our DNA hasn't changed. We're going to continue to fight hard and get better every week.
Yeah, your players of the week last game were Jackson Kuiper at MVP, Brennan Rawl on offense, Victor Smith on defense, Gavin Kovac again for special teams, Evan Geiger, man, what a battle he had. Last week I know he sprained his ankle. I think he said he's maybe a little ahead of schedule coming back. But Ryan Leapart had a good week on B team. Max Cooper for JV. Highlight one or two of those guys and tell us why they're playing so well.
Well, Jackson Kuiper had some emotional. I don't want to say baggage, but he had some things happen last week, and for him to fight through it and be as productive as he was, and to know that he was doing it with a heavy heart, man, I tell you that really his character, tough kid. Brennan was playing a position that he hadn't played much, and struggled really at practice, and we challenged him, and Coach Crocker's done a great job of. He goes to center, and I don't think we had a terrible snap Friday night, so that was great. Victor came on really strong. I've had 2 or 3 coaches that have gotten our film from throughout the season have texted me about him and how hard he's playing. Can't say enough about Gavin. He's one of the best in the state. You mentioned Evan. He gets hurt, kind of comes in as a backup, plays his heart out, gets hurt. He's already practicing this week ahead of schedule. So, we didn't get a chance. I didn't get a chance to see the B team last week, but the coaches said that Ryan played his heart out, and Max is our quarterback for JV, and he's doing a great job.
Awesome. Forbes. All right. Well, let's tell all the fans who the other Wildcat in the family is.
Yes, sir, of course. That would be my mom, and her name is she's that head cheerleading coach. Her name is Lee Watson, and she's
Don't
also,
you have to refer to that as LVC?
LVC?
LVC.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Excuse me. She's
getting nervous already.
Yeah, very nervous. Very, very nervous. Yes, sir. But she is the head coach, and she's also a teacher here at Lexington, and she teaches AP Psychology and Teacher Cadet, and this year she teaches government. Not her favorite, but she loves it, and she loves teaching, and she loves coaching. Yes, sir.
Well, so tell us, how's that relationship at school? And your mom is totally one of the hardest workers I know. What's that like at home? Is it really competitive? I know you have an older brother who I believe cheers as well. Correct? Your older brother cheers at Carolina, I think. But seriously, what do you learn, and how does that create habits being a part of a family that's such a part of sports and preparation? And for those that don't know, cheer nowadays is not just show up with some pom-poms on the sideline. Those girls practice more than we practice. So what's that relationship like at school and at home?
Well, honestly, it's one of the biggest blessings to have your mom at the school. It's, I always have her within reach, and, that's awesome. Anything if I ever needed, I can always go straight to her, whether that be a snack or a couple dollars to buy a Powerade from the den, she's always right there. And, she's a fantastic coach, and, she's, like you said, a hard worker, but she's an even better mom. And, she really, really at home, it's faith first, it's faith oriented. She's a hard worker, but, really her strong suit is that she loves the Lord Jesus Christ. And, she really, that's just such a strong emphasis for our family and our home life. But, when it comes to, competition, sure, there's that competition. My brother, he's a D1 cheerleader, and, we were sitting up at the scrimmage a couple weeks ago, and Coach Crocker looked in the stands and he said, "Forbes, is that your brother?" I was like, "Yes, sir." He's like, "Well, son, he's bigger than you." And I was like, "Yes, sir, that is true." And, he really pushes me to be better in the weight room because, he just put so much hard work into his body, into weightlifting, so much to just be a better athlete. And, me and my brother, we really we teach like iron sharpens iron. And, we try to hold each other accountable in life and weightlifting and really in, faith especially. And so
that's awesome.
He's a fantastic guy, and that through her coaching, his cheerleading, there's really been stuff that just pushes me to be a better athlete. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, Forbes coach is our own Justin Crocker, who is back at Lexington High School after touring around Lexington School District 1, stops in between at River Bluff and White Knoll. He was a part of the staff here in 2015 that played for a state championship game. But I think he's learned where home really is, right, Coach Crocker?
That's a fact.
And everyone looks better in blue. So, Coach Crocker, tell us about what Forbes means to your group.
Just having a kid like Forbes is unbelievable. For your group up front, he's the only one with any returning varsity experience, but just being able to lean on him for those younger kids. His example every day, he's always here, he's always on time, he's always where he's supposed to be, doing what he's supposed to be doing. Just having that leader, somebody that's kind of been in the battles of a Friday night in this region, which is tough, for those younger guys to lean on, and then for me to lean on and be able to talk to. And he holds everybody to a higher standard in our group. We break everything down on brotherhood, and Forbes has taken that and ran with it. And I've always fed kids at our house. My wife has always wanted to feed kids, and Forbes just kind of kicked it off last week with his mom, and they took it upon themselves to start the Lineman dinner at their house on last Thursday night, and they're getting together this week and eating again at another kid's house. And so just trying to build that bond and brotherhood, and Forbes really kind of is the glue that holds everything together, what we're trying to do right now up front.
That's awesome. We all know linemen like to eat, right, Forbes?
Of course, yes, sir.
Greenwood, looking ahead here, is a top 5 team in the state right now, and really do seem to be kind of clicking on all cylinders. I know we had a tough battle at home with them last year. They returned about 80% of those starters from a year ago, and they're led by a University of South Carolina commit, Tristan Lewis, at quarterback, and he broke the school record for passing yards last week. This intro is full of really good news, right, so far. He broke the school record for passing yards in a win over Dorman, who really does have a talented defense this year. Dorman does. But, Coach Young, what are your keys to slowing him down and making him earn his yards and team's points?
Yeah, that's scary, because Dorman had only given up one cheap touchdown in 2 weeks and then gave up 40-plus last week to this team. I always talk about to our team, control what we can control. No, we know they're good, and we know he's really good and experienced and confident, and you can name all the adjectives you want about him and their whole team. Their wide receivers can fly. Defense flies around. Well coached. Specialists are good. Not really any. I don't want to say there's nothing. The armor's good. Okay, they're good, but we got to control us, and that's what we've preached all week: is to be the best Lexington we can be, tackle better, catch balls better, block better. Right, Forbes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And just and come together, continue. And I know Forbes could probably add some of that, later in the show here. But come together, continue to become a family, and play hard together. And that's our goals, and that's what we can control, and that's what we're going to focus on tonight.
Yeah, Forbes coach just talking about like coming together, and this team has faced some adversity this year. No one wants to lose their starting quarterback, and Avery kind of came into his own at the end of last year, also kind of due to injury to Brennan. But Avery played really well in that playoff game, and he played really well at the end of River Bluff game. And so I think everybody as a program and kids, y'all kids saw it, and you had some high hopes. So not only that, but you've had some other adverse injuries, lost some players. You're starting a SAT word right here, plethora of new starters, right? Going through all this adversity, what can these things teach you? And having been on varsity for 3 years now, what have you enjoyed this year, and how the line and the team is coming together and staying positive as a group?
Yes, sir. Well, first off, it's just, we feel bad for, we've had a lot of adversity, like you said. People have lost family members, and that's been a big thing. And our key starters have been injured. We had Blake at the offensive line. We had Jackson. We had just a lot of people who've had some bangs, some injuries, and it really, like Coach Crocker talks about, it makes us lean on that brotherhood. And it's just, prayers for them. But football is a next man up sport, and so we have to be able to rely on our brothers, and that's just such a strong thing. Like whenever Blake went out, I didn't have a doubt in my mind that Brennan could step up. Brennan could play center, and he could, step up and do that. And I feel, bad for Blake, and I love him. But in football, these injuries happen, and we just have to be able to rely on the brotherhood and on our teammates. And that's just one thing that, really is how we have to face adversity. But, on varsity for 3 years, I've enjoyed the atmosphere. And I feel like, I've played with these guys since I was in 7th grade, and, it's been amazing just to watch all of those years of playing on JV, on B team, all those years come together for, one last ride for, these seniors. And so it's just been awesome to have an atmosphere and just a really close team this year, I feel like.
Well, we definitely have a special atmosphere here on Friday nights in Lexington, and I think Coach Crocker has clearly got Forbes coached up well positionally, but also he sounds like he's a coach already. He's got the good coachisms,
He does.
buzzwords over there. He's ready. Coach Crocker, we've seen some fast and talented defensive fronts so far this season, but tell us a little bit about what you see from the Greenwood defensive box and what challenges they bring to your offensive box and just the offense in general.
Yeah, they're another talented group. They're long, they're athletic, got some girth to them in the middle. They're just a well-coached defense. They fly around in the at linebacker spots. They they give us multiple fronts. A little 3-man front sometimes with reduction end off the edge, but then sometimes it's a true 4-man front with 4 hands down and things like that, which changes a little bit for us offensively. From an offensive line standpoint, of how we identify and which backers we're keying and things of that nature. So we really have to be on our game. And like Coach said, we just got to keep it. We got to be the best Lexington we can be. And like I tell the offensive line is, you got to do everything you can do in that 6 seconds of that play, that 6 to 7 seconds of that play, to be the absolute best you can be.
Yeah.
You got to do your job to the best of your ability. Where's your hat placement? Where's your hand placement? Where are your eyes? Are you moving your feet? Keep your base. So many things going into being an offensive lineman that, a lot of people don't understand or don't realize, that there's so many little details of being an offensive lineman and putting your eyes in the right spot and putting your feet in the right spot and taking that right first step. So many things go into it. And when you're playing a team as talented as Greenwood is, that margin for error is even slimmer. So we really got to be dialed in and focused on our job. We don't have to try to beat the scoreboard on every play. We just got to win that play.
Sure.
We got to win our assignment on that play.
That's
and
right.
that's going to be a tough challenge for us. That's where we're growing this year.
Well, Coach Young, we played on the road at a packed Tomahawk Stadium. And, while we haven't been on the road since, we have had 2 pretty good atmospheres against some pretty good opponents here at home. In fact, those last 2 opponents are 6-0. Is that correct, that we played?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what edge does that give you from a confidence standpoint that your guys can go and handle the trip to a traditional winning culture school with a great fan base like the Eagles have?
Yeah, I mean, I've being in Saluda so long, we played in the Jamboree up there about every year, and it's a great atmosphere. They love their football. They're going to be there. That'll be fun, and we embrace it. Embrace the. I'd rather be that way than go into a stadium with nobody there and nobody cares. So,
no doubt.
Like I told you when we were going to Gilbert, the first time we went twice, by the way. The first night surely was just electric, and so I told our kids to embrace it. Well, what else would you want, So that'll be fun, and that's something that they'll remember. It's one of those memories that lasts. A lot of times you don't remember the scores, but you remember the environment and the things that
the experience.
Yeah, the periphery, if you will, of high school football. You remember that sometimes more than you do the actual football. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward for the opportunity for our guys.
That's great. Forbes already hadn't done this yet with anybody, so let's have some fun. We're going to try to lighten this up a little bit.
Sir.
All right. So I just want fast answers back. Okay, not a lot of thought, just one word. First thing that comes to mind. Okay.
All right, hit me with it.
Favorite subject, not weightlifting.
Chorus.
I like it. Stevenson, that was for you right there. Favorite color.
Blue. Go Wildcats.
Hey, favorite song.
Jesus Loves Me.
You're locking that in right there.
Yep.
I love it.
Locking it in.
Favorite teacher.
Besides my mom, Dr. Stevenson.
Stevenson, two
Yes,
plugs
sir.
right
Yes,
there,
sir.
buddy. Hobby or activity you enjoy the most outside of football?
Probably just spending time with family.
Okay. This is a wholesome dude right here. Jesus Loves Me, chorus. Besides mom, chorus.
Yes, sir.
Family time.
Family time. All right, now one you better not get wrong. Favorite offensive line coach?
Coach Crocker.
Coach Crocker.
No doubt.
Let's go.
I was really trying to set you up. If anything else came out of his mouth, it was going to be a really tough walkthrough
Yes,
for him
sir.
today.
It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough.
Coach Crocker, you started the year off with very few returning starters on the OL. In fact, Forbes might be the only full-time starter back from last year. In what ways have you seen your position group grow and get better?
Yeah, he was definitely the only one that saw significant varsity time last year and as a starter, and even in general. I think a couple of the other guys were dressed in some games and got some late snaps, but not a lot of significance. The best part about it is being able to mold them, and they don't have a lot of bad habits to break or things like that, and so being able to mold them, but really just seeing them grow as guys that love football. Mm-hmm. Because to play offensive line is tough. I tell them all the time, you're going to be the first guy blamed and the last guy praised. But you got to embrace that role as an offensive lineman, and just seeing them grow in their knowledge of what it means to be a lineman and how we break it down on brotherhood, because we're 5/11ths of the offense on every snap. And
Wow.
we've got to be tight with each other.
Yeah.
We've got to know what each other's thinking. I got to know that you're changing the linebacker before you change it, where we're pointing to in a combo and things like that, and just seeing them grow that way. They come to film with their notebooks. They're taking notes. They're learning football terminology. A lot of kids struggle these days now because all they play is Madden and NCAA. They don't watch football. So They don't know what a 3 technique lines up at, or a shade technique, or a 4-eye, or a 20-backer and 30-backer. They don't understand what a double mug is and things like that. They don't know it. But for them to, to come into film and for me to use that terminology and to see them write it down and then to hear them to start to talk that way, and then the example that like guys like Forbes and Brent and Rawl are setting for the sophomores and the freshmen, because once that terminology becomes, second nature to all of us, then we start getting better as linemen, and just seeing them grow this year, just in general, a guy like Blake. Has to go in and start in a couple games and gets banged up, and then to move Brennan over, and Brennan just takes snaps at center, randomly at practice, and then to have guys, that can be good backups. Both of the Lusendorf brothers have had Lusendorf, ever how you say their name, have had to go in there and play different spots, and play left guard or right guard, and go in and play right tackle, and just shift them around, and try to find that core of 8 to 10 guys that can really be multiple in what they're trying to do, but also have an understanding. So they've done a great job this year of going from not using football terminology or offensive line terminology to now starting to use it. Like when we talk in meetings now, they're using the right words, and they're picking up with the right eyes. They know where their eyes are supposed to be, which is, to me, is one of the biggest parts of being an offensive lineman, is playing with your eyes, because so many kids think you just look at the ground the whole time and run hard, hit the sled. That's
right.
not being an offensive lineman in today's football.
Sure.
So they've done a great job. We got to continue to get better. We don't finish well right now. We're trying to work on finishing blocks, finishing the play, playing through the echo of the whistle, things like that. They're playing hard as they can play, but we don't stay covered up and maintain blocks as long as we need to. So we're getting there.
Amen. Coach Young, keys to the game this week.
Well, obviously, we got to protect the football and continue to win the field position battle. I think that's helped us tremendously. We've kind of been a bend but don't break defense. Got to continue to win the field position battle. And then we've got to create some turnovers. That's one negative we've had defensively. We haven't done a really good job of taking the ball away as much as we need to give ourselves a chance. Offensively, like I said, got to continue. Coach just said it, get better. I mentioned it earlier. That's what we've focused on all week. To continue to get better, don't hurt ourselves, and play smart, make smart decisions with the football, and not give them a short field like I mentioned earlier with field position. So those things are big. Got to be physical. And I don't worry about that with these kids. These kids are physical, and we got to just play hard and get better and better and better every snap.
Well, guys, I look forward to making the trip to Greenwood tonight. It's a place I've sadly never gotten to play or coach, but they have such a great history with Coach Sheldula, who current Greenwood head coach Chris Liner and defensive coordinator, and a friend of mine, Tom Butler, played for Coach Dula. Tom was also my defensive coordinator at Westwood High School before he went on home to Greenwood. So I know we're going to go play well. We're going to play a great game. We're going to play physical, smart, all the things that Lexington football is known for. And just to close this out, Forbes, how's the team mindset as we're about to hit the road here in a few hours?
As Coach Young and Coach Wilder and really all of our coaches have really emphasized this week, and like he said earlier in the podcast, it's really we wanted to focus on the little things, being us, and perfecting our game better and growing in that. And I feel like we've taken some really good steps through practice this week. And I feel like, we're frustrated. That last week was, a heartbreaker. And I feel like we're ready to get on the field and get a big win.
Love it. Guys, thanks for joining us again. Thanks to Bobby White State Farm for your partnership and support of Lexington Athletics fans. We'll see you about an hour and 20 minutes down the road as our Wildcats take on the Greenwood Eagles. Next week, we will have a special bye-week conversation, myself and Coach Young, with our specialists. That's right. Our own Gavin Kovac and long snapper holder Josh Murray. Until then, go Wildcats and hail to thee.